I started playing when I was 8, and I started playing in the backyard in the garage with my brother and my father. He used to play locally down in Werribee, so he got us a table and one Christmas, and then we all just started playing there. Originally, my father bought the table tennis table so we could improve our footwork for our basketball. So we were pretty competitive basketball players. Well, as competitive as you can be for an 8 or 9-year-old, but yeah, so we wanted to improve our footwork for defense. My first international tournament was in Tiszaújváros in Hungary. Now, I couldn't spell that, but it's Tiszaújváros, because I spent a long time trying to learn it. It was the World Under 15 Championships. I was 13, and I went with a team from Oceania, so there was a couple of New Zealanders and a couple of Australians. That was a good experience. It was the first time overseas as well. And then actually after the tournament, I went to practice in Poland, and yeah, so we drove from Hungary through Czech to Poland, and so I made a whole event out of it. So yeah. I've had a few rivals over the years. Recently, I would say it's, at least in my mind, probably not in his mind, but William Hensel, because, I mean, in Australia I'd beaten everyone else except him for a long time, so I'd never beaten him. And I mean, now I've pretty much stopped playing, but the last 4 or 5 years, I just consistently lost to William. When I was younger, I was very competitive with the international players for my age globally. So when I was 17, I made the last 16 of the World Championships in the juniors, in under 18. So whilst for recognition, the Olympics was probably the best thing for me, for personal satisfaction, I think that was the tournament, because that was a tournament where I came out and I was amongst my peers who I'd been playing tournaments with internationally, and I performed well and outperformed, you know, most of my friends from, you know, the stronger nations. So I use a light. It's a butterfly blade. It's a really light bat. It's a small handle. I like it because, you know, I can move it and change grips a little bit. And Tenergy is the rubber. Now, I've played a few players who have been ranked #1. Like, I've played Schlager and Krangen have made it to #1. I've played Ma Long, but the highest ranked player I played at the time when they were highest ranked was at the Olympics. I played Wang Hao, and at the time he was world #2, but I think he was a #1 in China or something, so I'm claiming he's world #1. I'm the U13 National Coach, so I'm trying to help the kids improve and become good senior players. Especially in Australia, it's hard to get the focus away from the immediate successes of the junior tournaments and getting the kids focusing on becoming good senior players, because it's an entirely different approach. At the national coaches meeting, we talked about that, and now I'm playing my role in it, and we're having a few national camps, and that's the philosophy and the mindset I'm trying to get through to them. The experience, I mean, the Olympics was great. It was great fun. I got to play 3 idols. I played Schlager, Kranga and Wang Hao in 3 consecutive matches. I enjoyed being a part of the Australian team because you walk around with Grant Hackett's on one side, and then whoever else, Stephanie Rice won, I think, about 5 gold medals or something on the other side, and everyone got along and talked to each other. But I think the best thing about the Olympics was in Melbourne you get a lot of recognition for being an Olympian. So it's helped me a lot since coming back, just with everything really. But the Olympic experience itself was great, but since then it's also helped a lot. Yeah, I've been injured a lot. I was injured before the Olympics. I went into the Olympics getting massaged and physio 4 times a week, and that went on for a year before the Olympics. Then after the Olympics was I had some hip surgeries. I had one on my right hip and then 3 months off, and I had one on my left hip. Came back to play after about 6 or 7 months. My hips weren't any better, so I went back to have another surgery on both hips, so that was another 6 months. Then I came back again, so this was now about 18 months post Olympics, and I came back and my hips still weren't good. At that point I was pretty frustrated. I went and had another surgery on my right hip because I thought it was more dominant when I was playing, so if I had to choose one or the other, I'd get the right one done. Did that and came back, and my hips were all right, but then I tore a muscle in my arm. And that was about 18 months ago, and my arm's still not recovered. My hips are all right though. Yeah, because of all my injuries, it's been 4 years since I've been able to train effectively. My last 4 years of training have consisted of rehab of my hips, my arm, my shoulder. So I haven't actually had much table work. I've just been doing rehab pretty much. So it's 4 years ago, I mean, I worked hard because I thought, I'm still young and it might take me an extra 4 years to mature as a player, but that's fine. It's more work. But I mean, it's just got a bit hard. I'm still injured. It's been 4 years now. It's time to just take it easy and not worry so much about it, I think. Yeah, I've always been involved with table tennis, even when I've been injured and not training. And I think when you step away from it, you get a different perspective on the way you train, on the way how you can improve. You start seeing things a bit differently, as opposed to when you're caught up amongst it and you're just training your heart out. I think I learned a lot about how to structure a year or a season or a training plan around playing your best in certain parts of the year, and what to do at which parts of the year. And I think, so now I've started coaching, I'm trying to implement that, and you can see it, but it's hard to get players to have this big picture view when they're caught up amongst it, but if you can push them through the stages, it works. So I'm still involved. It's I find it very interesting. Hopefully I can help some other younger players come up through the ranks. It would be hard. It's hard to think big picture when you're young, but you need to think big picture. The things they do when they're younger are not for the junior tournaments, they're for the senior tournaments later. So my advice would be to start preparing now for the future rather than preparing for next week. Well, because I've never beaten William Hensel in my whole career, I think it's only fair that I can eat part of him as my last meal. Maybe a hand or a leg, just something.